Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the way Reform UK and their bedfellows are splitting over the way Trump has so recklessly sided with Putin after getting over the idea that any US president could side with Russia against a European country being invaded by Russia. I still never thought I'd see the day when both the Daily Mail and the Daily Express would attack Donald Trump so unambiguously. But here we are. And just for good measure, one of Reform UK's star defectors from the Conservatives is also having second thoughts about Nigel Farage's outfit. I said many times before that Trump could be Farage's downfall. It's starting very early. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So lots going on in the world of right-wing politics and news today. After the US president attacks both Ukraine and Zelensky like a good little Russian quisling, even unconditional Trump supporters in Britain are falling over themselves to go, no, bit far, mate, bit far. Shameful Trump attack stuns world. That's the Daily Express headline today. They still have to put shameful in quotation marks. They can't bring themselves to call him shameful directly, but it's still there. The headline is still as it is. Trump appalls world, says the Daily Mail. In fact, the Mail has something above the main headline, which is quite embarrassing for the Conservative Party as well. And I was thinking, have the Mirror hacked the Daily Mail or something? What's going on? And now I see Tim Montgomery, star signing for Reform UK, having to speak out, not just to call out Trump, but his new party for staying silent. A reminder for those who don't know, so Tim Montgomery is a very successful activist. He founded the Conservative Home website, has been massively influential on Conservative MPs, including right at the very top, their own prime ministers. And not long ago, after grumbling quite a lot about the Conservatives, he decided to switch to Reform UK. He's covered himself in mud, defending both the party and his own decision to join, but it seems he has limits. He is happy to argue that, no, of course, Reform UK are not a racist party, but doesn't seem happy to go along with it being a Putin asset. He's written on Twitter that Reform's silence on Trump and Ukraine must end and end urgently. He's suggested that Farage's input could sway Trump from his current line. It's incredibly fanciful. If the assembled heads of Europe are not able to persuade Trump, what chance a two-bit con artist who likes to claim he's close to Trump but couldn't actually get a meeting with him despite trying for 2 weeks after the assassination attempt and wasn't even invited to his indoor inauguration? No, Farage has no real influence here. In fact, I mean, I'm not really sure anyone's going to. America really has nailed its colours to the mast here. You know, we've had one of Trump's people basically telling Zelensky off for causing a fuss about the fact they're giving Putin everything he wants. But Farage's silence is still newsworthy because, as Dan Hodges of the Mail on Sunday has said himself, this is a black and white moment. I mean, just to put it into context, think about the Daily Mail supported Hitler, for goodness sake, and they supported fascists in Britain. And under the same family ownership, it's not like, oh, they've got different owners now. No, it's the son of the guy who did that. Have today found supporting Trump too much beyond the pale. That's how black and white this moment is. And that's not me saying even the Daily Mail can't bring themselves to support Trump over this. Privately, they may or may not be happy about Trump's handling of Ukraine, but they know there isn't any appreciable public appetite for it. Hodges also said that Farage, Tice and others always have plenty to say about Putin, but now seem strangely silent. Yeah, along with others. The last 24 hours has been telling for not just what's been said, but for who is not saying very much at all. Even opposition Ukrainian MPs are backing Zelensky in this, saying it's ridiculous to attack him for not holding elections. They are being invaded. Former Tory Defence Secretary Ben Wallace said Churchill didn't hold elections either, and for the same reason. Nobody said he was undemocratic. We had elections once the war was over, so will Ukraine. Kemi Badenoch has finally had to say something about the situation, saying Trump is wrong to call Zelensky a dictator. She has also echoed his calls for Europe to do more. It's absolutely fine. Europe should do more and should have prepared to do more a long time ago. But you know, her party and government, of course, were cutting military budgets to the bone at the point at which we should have been doing more. But, you know, never mind. The situation is as it is now. I mean, yeah, you couldn't even fill a scout hut with the troops we can spare for the job. But we are where we are. Europe does need to do more. That's fine. Totally fine with that. I've said as much myself. And further to my video on Boris Johnson earlier today, he's only made things worse by talking at all. So when I did that video, I hadn't actually said anything, or I hadn't seen it. Now he's trying to claim that Trump is just pretending to be on Putin's side. Oh, it's some proper 4D chess, Phil. You wouldn't understand it. He's just pretending to be on Putin's side to get a reaction from Europe. Hard to say what's worse at the moment. Farage saying nothing, claiming to be, remember, he's claiming he's the leader of the opposition. He's claiming to speak for the British public against the tyrannical Labour government. Has nothing to say. Or is it even worse that Boris Johnson is saying anything at all, given what he says? But this is like the Farage riots last summer, only it's a more long-term problem for him. Last summer, Farage adopted I think it was roughly 2-week period of radio silence. Then he made a very obviously lawyered video statement, very scripted, in order to avoid any criminal investigations having easy evidence against him for inciting the riots. He has a similar but way thornier problem now. He knows that as far as voters are concerned, Reform UK voters are more likely to fall prey to Putin appeasement arguments. You know, the stuff, I've had it in the comments this morning. Oh, he's spending so much money supporting Ukraine. Oh, so many people dying. Yeah, Russians are killing them. Oh, we're sending so much money. It's like, yeah, but our economy has lost more money due to the invasion than we are spending in military and economic assistance to Ukraine. In fact, because I had to bring this up earlier today, you know, you do a check. Based on data from Statista, which gets its data from Oxford Economics and the Financial Times, the hits to UK GDP as a result of the invasion of Ukraine across 2022, 2023 and 2024 totals about £32 billion. My now reckoning just over £32 billion. As of this January, the government reported that it had spent just under £13 billion on military and economic assistance to Ukraine. And if we allow Putin to invade more of Europe, whether Ukraine or elsewhere, that costs our economy further still, because the trade, you're losing trade. And given that this, and also the extra cost of things that you can still get access to, but it increases in price because of the scarcity created by turning places where you can get them from into a wasteland. And given that chumps like this seem to care so much about the money it's costing us, you might want to ask them why they support Trump when he is threatening to impose tariffs, which would also cost the UK economy billions, when it can't even be said to make America any extra money, because it'll cost them as well. The bottom line is that the 11% or so of the population who try to defend Putin or believe those arguments, or studiously at least fail to criticise him, are those who basically support a fascist dictatorship sweeping across Europe again. After all, it's been a while. Maybe the later version will be better. But it's fair to say the vast majority don't believe that. And that is what makes this very tricky for Farage. When even the Mail and Express know that there's no real public support for defending what Trump has said and done this week, when Badenoch has actually had to say something, because just to point out, you may not be aware, Badenoch has been doing speeches recently, but she has avoided any talk of this issue. She has been trying to avoid talking about this obvious schism between Trump and the British public. But the situation is now such that it's not just that you have to be careful about what you say. You look very bad if you say nothing. People demand that politicians nail their colours to a mast. Badenoch has said the minimum to hint at support for Ukraine without distancing herself too much from Trump. Fine, at least she said something. Johnson has tried to say Trump is just playing games and doesn't really mean it. Pathetic. The government have said that Zelensky is not a dictator, that Russia is the aggressor and that Ukraine should join NATO. Tim Montgomery has said that Farage has to come out with a statement. I'm sure he's working on one. He may try to avoid delivering it as long as possible. Ed Davies got a theory on that one, in the hopes that something happens to make the issue die down. But that's the thing here. It won't, will it? If peace is forced in a way which appeases Russia, which is basically what's happening, the issue won't calm down in the news. We're going to hear news about the fallout from Trump believing Putin's promises over the next few years. Because, let's be honest, he doesn't keep them, does he? What Trump is doing is already so unpopular that the Mail and the Express couldn't even afford to say nothing, because they are no strangers to trying to put lost kittens on the front page if they'd rather not report on something at all, if it's a bit awkward for them. No, they've recognised that their readers demanded a response from them. Johnson's own response was both pathetic and disgusting in equal measure. He cannot even claim realpolitik, which, sure, means politicians can't just lay into Trump like the rest of us can. Johnson is not a political leader anymore. He's a private citizen. And he's been even more fawning than Badenoch, who actually has the excuse of having to tread a line. But at the time of recording this anyway, Farage not said a dicky bird. In fact, at the point I'm recording, not a single post on his Twitter account today. Now, as the only political leader in Britain to actually take social media seriously, this is highly unusual. Is he locked in furious negotiation with the MAGA press office to talk about what he's allowed to say in order to, not simultaneously piss off Trump, Musk, because he didn't want to do that again, and the British public? But even if he manages to ride a tricky period of PR, it's going to keep coming up. I said before, there might well be enough people in Britain who would sort of like a Trump-type leader here, but these specific policies Trump has are not aligned with their own priorities. You can get away with being an authoritarian in Britain. Indeed, there's a lot of support for that, but you can't be on the side of someone invading Europe. And that's before we even find out what the British public think about ultra-protectionist trade wars that hurt everyone. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.